Okay, good evening, my dear students. So this is the 6th module on Physics 2 about electric current. So when we say current, that means that there's a flow of charges, or there's a continuous flow of charges through the wire, through the circuit. Okay, so that's why in this module we will first start with defining what makes a circuit a circuit. Ano ang dalawang requirement for a circuit to be a true circuit? So let's start with this one. For example, we have two plates here. The first plate above is highly positive. Okay, so it contains a lot of excess positive charge. Meanwhile, the plate below is highly negative. Okay, so of course there will be an electric field established between the two plates, pointing from the upper plate towards the lower plate, from the positive towards the negative. If I place a positive charge here, what do you think will happen? So of course, the charge will enter the electric field, diba? And then it will feel an attractive force. It will be attracted to the negative plate below. Okay, so it will move from the positive plate towards the negative plate. This movement will be natural, diba? Kasi it will be going with the direction of the electric field. And then as it is doing that, it will lose its potential energy. There will be a decrease in potential energy. Okay? So that also means that the high potential plate is the one that is positive, the upper plate, and then the low potential plate is the one below. Now let's say that there's a wire connecting the two plates. So because there's a wire connecting the two plates, now the positive charges above will be able to freely move, diba? Or transfer from upper plate to the lower plate. So after some time, will the charges still go down the lower plate? What do you think will happen after some time? Because every time a positive charge leaves the upper plate and goes down to the lower plate, this becomes less negative, diba? Kasi babalansehin siya ng mga positive charges that are coming in. Meanwhile, the upper plate will become less positive. Kasi bumaba na yung mga positive charges, diba? So after some time na mayroong going down of positive charges na nangyayari, what will happen? Will this be able to continue forever, continuously? Will that happen? So of course not, because there will come a time that the plates will reach neutrality. Magiging neutral na yan, di ba? During that time, the charges here, the positive charges here, will no longer be inclined to go down to the lower plate. It won't have any more reason. It won't be attracted enough to go to the lower plate, di ba? Because both of them are becoming more and more neutral. Okay? That's the time, that's the signal to you that there's actually no more potential difference between the two plates. Because the charges don't have, quote-unquote, a reason to go down. Or you can say a motivation to move from the upper plate to the lower plate. So, when I say there's no more potential difference, what I mean is the potential between the two plates will now be the same. Okay? So there will no longer be movement of charges. Now, what does it take for a true circuit to exist? Kailangan mo ng letter A, a closed path, and letter B, a potential difference. You have to maintain a potential difference across the path or across the loop. Okay? Actually, the better word is a loop. This is not true for this case. This is not a true circuit. Kasi although the charges can go down, there's no way for it to go back up. Diba? Kasi if you want a circuit, you have to create a loop. So there should be a way for the positive charges to go back up sa upper plate. So that it can go down again and up and down and so on. In here, there's no wire that do that. That's creating a closed loop or path. Next, you have to maintain a potential difference across these plates kung gusto mo mayroong movement ng charge. Diba? That means that you have to maintain this plate as a high potential plate, and then this one, you have to maintain it as a low potential plate. So that means para mangyari yun, dapat laging may positive charges dito. And then dito, dapat laging may negative, excess negative charges for this to happen. Okay? Okay, let's first talk about the requirement number 1. So sabi, a circuit is a closed conducting loop or a closed conducting path. Now here we have a battery, wire, and a light bulb. We can see that there are 5 attempts. The attempt is to make the light bulb glow or lit up. So let's try to think of the reason why that's not working in each of the attempts. So diba, the requirement is, para umilaw siya, the requirement is to have a closed conducting path between the terminals of the battery. That means you have to connect the positive to the negative terminal, diba? Okay, on the first one, we can clearly see na, anyways, this di naman, there's no loop actually. Hindi connected yung positive terminal to the it's even nakahang lang siya sa air. So, it really won't light up. There's no connection. There's no loop. This one, you can say that this is a loop, but it's not a loop from the positive to the negative terminal. Attempt C, okay, obviously. And then attempt D, well, this one is loop around the light bulb only, diba? For the light bulb to be included in the circuit, you have to make sure that there's a connection between the light bulb and the battery. And then this one is only loop around the battery naman. So there's no connection between the wire. There's no close path between the wire, the battery, and the light bulb. So all of these fails to light up the bulb. Now this is a proper connection. Why is it successful in doing so? So if we analyze yung wiring ng isang light bulb, so actually the charges can go 2 ways. Yung other end ng wiring sa light bulb is nasa ilalim niya, so it's in the base. So the charges can flow from here and then do work here in the filament to make the light bulb lit up, and then go down here dito sa side, in the rib side. So of course this is connected to the wire, and this is a wire connected to the other terminal, which is what you can see here. Now here is the connection to the rib side, and then the rib side is connected to the negative terminal. Meanwhile, conductor naman yan, kaya okay lang walang wire doon, di ba? Meanwhile here, yung connection sa end, sa base ng bulb, is connected to the positive terminal. Okay, so if we have positive charges, it will go from here and then to the negative terminal, and then the battery will pump it up, give it electrical energy. It will do work on the filament, and so the electrical energy will be converted to light energy and heat, and then it will exit here. The charges will exit here on the side, rib side, and then go back to the negative terminal, and so on. Make sure also that the loop is conducting, or your wires rather, or in other words, is a conductor. That means that it allows flow of charges, diba? Now this one, circuit is established because between the base of the light bulb and the positive terminal, there's a paper clip na metal. So of course, being a metal, the charges can still be able to flow through the filament and to the terminal. But meanwhile here, you have a paper, diba? That's an insulator. So parang there's no way for the charge to flow from the positive to the filament to the negative terminal. So there's no circuit here. And then, what's the common reason daw kung bakit hindi na gumagana yung mga light bulb? Pag napuputol pala yung filament, that's one of the reason. Most common reason. The filament is actually a very fragile material. So, if na-broken siya, syempre, yung mga charges hindi na makadaan, di ba? From here to here. It's no longer a closed loop. Kaya, you try mo na alogin yung bulb. Maybe you can hear something clicking or clanging inside. Those are the pieces of the broken filament. Okay? So those are the things that you have to remember for the first requirement. There should be a close conducting loop. Conducting, that means made up of conductor, yung mga wires, for it to allow the flow of charges. And then it's not a simple connection, diba? The wiring should connect in our example, the light bulb to the positive. The one end is connected to the positive and the other end is connected to the negative terminals of the battery or the energy source. Now let's talk about the second requirement. The second requirement is there should be a maintained electric potential difference. Electric potential difference, that means that dapat may high potential and may low potential point. In a battery, that's the positive and the negative terminal respectively. Now let's take a look at, let's use an analogy actually. If you have a pipe like this, and then these are the ends, diba? Think of this as the terminals. You can see that both of them are at the same height. Both ends or terminals are at the same height. So you expect that there will be no water flow, diba? But if you have a potential difference or a difference in height, such as this one, maganda kasi now the water can go down, can flow down, diba, towards the other end. If you want to really create a whole circuit here, so let's assume that you have this type of arrangement of the pipe. And then here, let's say you have a pump. You need a pump kasi diba, you're going from low potential to high potential. Gusto mong iangat yung water mo. And then of course, as it reaches this point, automatic na yan. From high to low. So due to the potential differences, the water can go down. And then the pump will provide the energy for it to go up and down and so on and so on. So you have a water circuit here. Now that's the same here. We talked about last time that the chemical reaction happening inside the battery is keeping this terminal positive and the other negative. Okay? So in doing so, the ends of the wire, there is a potential difference doon sa end ng wire. So the charges can flow from the high potential terminal towards the low or negative potential or negative terminal. Okay? Now, once na nag-run out ng chemical energy yung battery, hindi niya na ma-maintain, di ba, yung terminals niya na positive and negative. So, now the charges will no longer be able to flow. Hindi nagagana yung light bulb mo in this simple circuit. Okay? That's the importance. That's the importance of potential difference. To summarize that, a true circuit is a closed conducting loop connecting the electric load, in our example, the light bulb, to the terminals of the energy source. And then, it's not only a closed conducting loop, but there should be an element or an energy source that maintains the potential difference across its terminal or across the ends of the circuit. Okay? That's it for the first part. I'll see you on the next one.